All right, so fundamental research issues. Today we are going to be we're going to be wrapping up our look at relationships and reduction of uncertainty. What does that exactly mean? So relationships between variables. So last time we met, we were taking a look at the relationships between variables. So is physical attractiveness related to perceptions of intelligence? And we looked at how two variables can vary systematically with each other. And we saw the different types of relations. So the four basic categories were the no relation. So in this case, perceived attractiveness has nothing to do with perceived intelligence. So if this is the case and you look at somebody and you think that they're extremely attractive, you'll also look at them and have either see them as not that intelligent or as highly intelligent. One does not affect the other. This is the no relation between the two variables. We also had the positive linear relation, where as perceived attractiveness increased, so too did perceived intelligence. So people high in perceived attractiveness were also judged as being highly intelligent. People low in perceived attractiveness were judged as being lower in intelligence. And it's a positive linear relationship because as one increases, the other one increases. Both variables change in the same direction. The third category was the negative linear relationship, and this is where as one variable increases, the other one decreases. So if this is the relationship, then as perceived attractiveness increases, perceived intelligence goes down. As perceived attractiveness decreases, perceived intelligence goes up. They go in different directions. That's negative linear. And then the last one we saw was curvilinear, and the curvilinear relationship cannot be expressed by a straight line. So you'll see that this line of best fit doesn't really capture the relationship here. And in a curvilinear relationship, the low perceived attractiveness leads to low perceived intelligence, high perceived attractiveness leads to high perceived intelligence, and there's a sweet spot in the middle where middle perceived attractiveness is actually perceived as having the highest intelligence. And this sort of a U-shaped or inverted U-shaped pattern actually occurs a lot in psychology. And we saw it in the perception of aesthetics, how much you like a piece of music, depending upon how complicated it is. All right, so that's the wrap up. So why do we do these relationships? Why are we interested in figuring out the relationships between two variables? Well, one of the big goals is to reduce uncertainty. So relationships between variables, they reduce uncertainty. So what does that mean? I mean, you'll hear that phrase over and over again. There was this much of a reduction in uncertainty. It accounted for this much uncertainty. What does that mean? Well, the uncertainty means the randomness of events, right? That's literally what uncertainty means. You don't know what's happening. You have no idea of knowing because the events are random. The reduction of uncertainty, therefore, is the reduction in the randomness of events. So visually what this means, and an easier way to understand this, is let's say that we did this experiment, right? Let's say that we had 100 photos, and each of those was one of these dots. So there's 100 dots here. These are the 100 photos that were judged in our experiment. And for each photo, let's say that we had subjects rate how attractive the person was and how intelligent they thought they were, and that's what these scores over here are. Now, let's say that we collected all this data, and it was a slow Friday afternoon, and we got bored in the lab, and we started playing a game. And we started playing a guessing game. And I would take a random photo from our 100 photos of people who were rated perceived attractiveness and perceived intelligence, and I would take one of these photos and I would say, guess what the perceived intelligence of this person was. I'm not going to let you see who it is, but you guess what the perceived intelligence is. Well, if we were playing this horrible game, you would have a lot of uncertainty in terms of how intelligent was this person perceived, because this is the range of perceived intelligences, right? This is the lowest right there, there's the highest right there. So it could be any of these in between here, and that's how much uncertainty you're dealing with right now. You're dealing with this much uncertainty. Once you have a relationship, though, you can use information about one variable to reduce your uncertainty about another variable. So if I just told you, guess how intelligent this person was perceived, you would say, I don't know, it could be all the way down here, could be all the way up here, it could be any one of these people. There's a lot of uncertainty. If I then told you, all right, I'm going to give you a hint. They were low in perceived attractiveness. If that's the case, then you are no longer dealing with this much uncertainty. You are now dealing with that much uncertainty. So knowing their score on one variable reduced their uncertainty, or your uncertainty about their score on a second variable. And if I took another person and I said, oh, this person is middle attractive, once again, you don't have to guess the entire range. You're not dealing with the entire range of uncertainty. Now for the middle attractive person, you know that they're going to be somewhere in that smaller range. So the uncertainty has been reduced. And the same thing, if we finish this game with somebody that was perceived as highly attractive, once again, knowing that one piece of information has reduced the uncertainty in that other variable. You now have a smaller window of possible perceived intelligences because you know that they had high perceived attractiveness. So that's what reduction of uncertainty means, and that's one of the goals of these relationships between variables.